Un prochain invité qui arrive, stand by Raph. The 2024 Annual Public Meeting, ça roule. L'Assemblée publique annuelle 2024, we're rolling. Hi, I'm Sarah. Je suis la réalisatrice. Vous pouvez vous asseoir juste ici. And you could look directly in the camera right here.
I might take my glasses.
I'm Jan Suchik. I'm Director General of Czech Television.
My name is Jim Mather. I'm the chair of the Board of Governors of RNZ New Zealand.
Éric Poivre, secrétaire général des médias francophones publics.
I'm Tim Davey. I'm Director General of the BBC.
My name is Anne-Sophie Vaumar. I'm the Managing Director of the International Olympic Committee Television and Marketing Services, and we're based in Switzerland.
Catherine Marr, NPR.
My name is Cindy Xu. Come from Taiwan Public Television Service as the president.
My name is Noel Curran and I am Director General of the European Broadcasting Union.
I'm Paul Thompson. I'm the Chief Executive and Editor-in-Chief of RNZ, New Zealand's public broadcaster. I'm also the President of the Public Media Alliance.
Je m'appelle Jean-Paul Philippot, je suis l'administrateur général de la RTBF, la radio-télévision belge de langue française.
My name is Hanna Stjoni and I'm CEO of Swedish Television.
What is the greatest challenge facing public broadcasting today? Quel est le plus grand défi auquel la radiodiffusion publique est confrontée aujourd'hui?
Trust.
De la confiance. Trust is not something that we can take for granted.
That's our currency. And there are a lot of things happening in the world at the moment that are pulling communities apart. There's polarisation, there's misinformation, there's the rise of authoritarian politics. The biggest challenge that we have is to be a cohesive force and to be bringing people back through trusted and relevant content.
Dans le contexte de l'avènement de l'intelligence artificielle, on va se retrouver confronté à des deepfakes, à des informations qui n'iront pas du tout dans le sens de la vérité. Donc notre premier défi, c'est évidemment de lutter contre ces fake news et de mettre en place des mécanismes qui vont permettre à nos auditoires de pouvoir vérifier que les informations que nous communiquons sont les bonnes informations.
The diversity of the video platforms, it's very hard for us to reach the younger audience again. And that's why we have to develop our contents through different platforms to reach our audiences. I think that's the time when we public broadcasters should collaborate together and to make sure that the content is good and with quality information.
Le défi, il est dans trois champs. Travailler sur nos valeurs et nos missions, connecter la société dans un monde numérique qui se fragmente et entretenir un lien de confiance, ce sont les défis majeurs, nos enjeux, ce qui rend aussi notre tâche très excitante.
Public broadcasters have a critical role to play in engaging communities and bringing a nation together. In today's media landscape, public broadcasters generally face a number of challenges, including, greater public scrutiny, proliferation of misinformation on social media, and securing financial support.
You have to be very close to people in the country. You have to understand what are the big discussions, what are the issues that you should scrutinize, what are the things that you should cover, to be very close to people. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be a public broadcaster, to be there for everyone in the country, for all the citizens.
Relevance. We can talk about big policy issues, big threats, but at the end of the day, it's all about the audience. They have infinite choice of content. We've just got to make sure that what we do and what we deliver is completely unique, relevant to them, and makes the cut.
Staying relevant to an audience who are much more visually sophisticated, have much more choice, are accessing their content in so many different ways.
The effort to stabilize the funding systems and to keep the role and the relevance for the audience on the highest level possible.
The greatest challenge facing public broadcasting today is to continue to understand why we matter, why we're relevant, and what our audiences need out of us.
Why does public media matter? Pourquoi les médias publics sont-ils importants?
I think public service media has actually never been more important.
We're needed more than ever.
Public media continues to matter because of the fact that we have a crucial role to play in any democracy.
We are the only form of media that is entirely independent and serves the public interest and the public good. We are a form of civic infrastructure, and where and when we exist, we know that societies and democracies are healthier as a result.
We live in challenging times in many ways. We live in quite tense times with a lot of world conflicts going on, and the need for journalism, for good programming, for public broadcasting is bigger now than I think it has been for a very, very long time.
And I'd argue that public media is not only important within our countries, where it's vitally important, but it's also important for us to really come together as a family of public media in all of the democracies of the world and to be stronger together.
In an era with so much misinformation, I think public media can provide a reliable source for the truth. I think that's the value for us right now.
I guess in era of internet with no borders and with such a huge portion of disinformation and misinformation leads to much higher need of some safe point where when you reach this point you get the most objective info, unbiased info, and then also the info which answers the question which deals with your own life.
Pursuing the truth with no agenda, really without fear or favour, that's become more important in a world of disinformation.
And we can really connect with people as citizens, not as consumers, with content that connects, informs and brings us together and celebrates our culture.
Avoir un média dont la vocation est d'informer de manière pluraliste et de produire dans toute la diversité des créateurs et des créatrices locaux et d'être un média de rassemblement d'une société qui est fragmentée ou qui est diffractée pour rassembler une société autour de valeurs communes.
Les médias publics sont importants parce que nous sommes garants de la diversité culturelle. Nous permettons à chaque strate de la société de pouvoir s'exprimer. Nous sommes également garants du pluralisme, c'est-à-dire que toutes les opinions peuvent trouver place sur nos antennes. Et puis nous sommes des créateurs de liens sociaux. Nous rassemblons plutôt que nous divisons.
And finally, bringing people together, not just personalising them and putting them into an echo chamber that we see from other media, but actually bringing connections, getting people to understand their similarities, not just their differences. Public service media has a real growth role to play in the future.
Entertainment that delights and connects us across our various and textured cultures across an entire nation, and the joy that comes with understanding the world around us better.
Providing escape from all of this through our entertainment and our drama programs, providing moments where people still come together.
In the context of the Olympic Games, the role of public media is as important as ever. The IOC's philosophy is to reach the widest possible audience in order that people around the world are able to experience and be inspired by the magic of the Olympic Games. Public media can provide unparalleled support in achieving this objective. Our partnership with CBC Radio Canada inspired Canadians in a way that was only possible due to the support of public media.